Hey dudes, welcome back to the Baby Dude channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're working on the budget set of wheels that I picked up on Craigslist for 100 bucks. So stay tuned. So if you guys are familiar with my channel, you know that I picked these wheels up a few weeks ago for 100 bucks with good tires. I was in need of new tires, and I really didn't feel like spending 150 bucks on one tire when I could purchase a full set of wheels and tires for a third of the cost. When I picked them up, they had a good deal of curb rash on a few of the wheels, which wasn't a big deal since I didn't pay very much for them. I think 2 or 3 of the wheels has some significant curb rash on them. I have since plasti-dipped them black, and as you guys know, it's kind of the go-to color since it's available in most stores in mass quantities. But I've grown tired of the silver and black look. It's kind of played out, and everyone seems to do it. So I decided that I wanted to kind of go for a more OEM look. If you guys have seen my E36 M3, most of you guys are probably not aware that this is actually plasti-dip, guys, on these wheels. This has been on here for about 3 years now, and it's held up remarkably. I have used quite a bit of coats. I probably would say over 10 coats of plasti-dip in total, about 5 of the black and maybe 4 of the aluminum, and a coat of the glossifier, and it's held up really well. I haven't taken it to the track and put any abuse on them, but I'm pretty sure that it would hold up just fine. And at the end of the day, if I ever want to go back, and just take it off. So in order to complete this project, I picked up 2 cans of black plasti-dip as the base and a can of aluminum plasti-dip metalizer for the color. Now I know what some of y'all are thinking, why wouldn't I use a silver metalizer to mimic the OEM Silver? Well, the funny thing about that is the metalizer product is quite different than the black plasti-dip. I believe it's a whole different formula altogether. It's rather thin, and you definitely don't want to use something like that to get the kind of coverage you need. And the metalizers, from what I found, if you guys can you probably can't see, but these wheels were plasti-dip black, and they actually have silver metalizer on them, and you don't get exactly the result that you think you would get. I got more of a maybe I would say kind of a gunmetal black gunmetal look on it, and it looked good for the time, and I'm just a little bored of it, and I want to kind of go with a more OEM look. So guys, make sure you pick up some aluminum metalizer. I picked mine up from AutoZone. It seems like it's the only place in Houston that actually carries the aluminum metalizer. It's kind of a particular color, and I don't think that most places purchase it because it may not get purchased as widely. So yeah, make sure you get the aluminum one to get the results that you desire. Some of my more keen viewers have probably noticed that I have center caps on here. When I purchased the wheels, they didn't actually have center caps, which was one of the ways I was actually able to get the seller to come down. I made kind of a fuss that they didn't have center caps, and he kindly knocked off 50 bucks. What I did have was a set of B&W center caps, which happened to be the proper millimeters. I think 68 millimeter was the exact size of this, which actually meant that they were B&W center caps. So what you're looking at, a OEM B&W center cap with plasti-dip on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the same thing here, and I'm going to paint right over it. As you guys can probably see, I'm not really dressed for the occasion. I just got off of work, and yeah, it's really hot right now. It's still about 91 degrees, and it's only 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm going to go get dressed into something a little more comfortable, a little more suited for this task. Be right back. And we're back. Ready to go? Let's get this thing started. So I got the wheels pulled off here. I don't know if you guys noticed, I was having a bit of trouble getting the wheels off without pulling up the plastic that's actually on the wheels. I think that I actually need maybe a thin wall socket to do this properly, because the socket I'm using is actually rubbing on the walls of the lug nut housing. So I'm going to have to come up with some type of a way, some kind of mechanism, so that I can spray these wheels and tighten them down and torque them down without actually pulling up the plasti-dip that I'm actually just putting on there. You guys can probably see here, I have some plasti-dip actually coming off. I'm not really too worried about it. I'm going to try to clean the wheels off with a water and degreaser mix that I actually put together. I'm going to clean the wheels off best I can, and when I spray the new coat of black plasti-dip on here, it's actually going to re-wet the plasti-dip itself, and I should be able to kind of use my finger and kind of re-wet and recover the parts of the plastic that's coming up. Again, this is not a professional job, guys. This is really for just looks. No one's going to be looking up this close to my wheel to see that I have some imperfections here. So I really don't care too much about how the lug housings look themselves. So guys, what I came up with, I don't really know this is going to work or not, but these are from my an old valve cover job that I did on my X5. I replace these every time I do valve covers. I'm going to see what I can do about stuffing these into the bolt holes to ensure that not very much plastidip gets there, because I want to reduce how much friction is caused by the plastidip whenever I'm trying to tighten down these wheels on the car. So I'm going to tuck these into the lug holes, and I'm going to clean up best I can, and I'm gonna hope and pray for the best. So if you guys are curious, I'm using the black plastidip because this is the best and the cheapest option for coverage. If you guys are familiar with plastidip, there is no recoat window. So by applying a fresh coat, couple coats of black plastidip, I'm ensuring that when it comes time to peel off the aluminum plastidip off the tires, that it has something to grab onto. The aluminum metalizer is actually pretty thin, so you really don't want to just spray on your existing surface. It's always a good idea, since the black plastidip is so much cheaper than the aluminum, just to ensure that you get a good adhesion. Use some black plastidip on your already dipped job. Not sure if you guys can see this here, but up here in the corners right here where I'm pointing at, you can kind of see where the plastidip began to kind of come up whenever I started to thread back the lug nuts. Now, it's not that bad, and it may not actually make that big of a difference, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray, now that the plastic is actually dry, I'm going to spray a liberal coat near these areas, and you'll notice as once you put the plastidip back on it, how it reanimates the old plastidip to where I can kind of manipulate it with my fingers. And I'm going to be using these here in the lug holes, like I was saying before. I'm going to press these in here as shallow as I possibly can, so that I don't actually pull up the plastidip and I don't actually paint down in the area where the lug is going to go. Hopefully this gives me a better result when it comes to tightening these things down. As you run your finger across it, you can kind of feel the old plastidip kind of reanimating here. So now it's really not going to matter, since this is going to be the base coat, but the more coat you put on, the less that'll be visible. So now I've got about three good coats on here, on top of the coats that were already on here. I'm going to go ahead and start applying the aluminum metalizer now. And as you guys can see, the amount of coverage you get is phenomenal. I mean, you really don't have to spray too much. I'm pretty sure I'm getting all sorts of overspray on my car, but it's plastidip. It comes right off, right? So I let this coat sit for about 2 minutes, and I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with another coat. I rotated the wheel about 45 degrees, and I'm gonna go at it with another coat. As you guys can see here, this color is just phenomenal, guys. the coverage you get from this can is just, it's crazy, and it's completely transformed the look of the wheel. And again, it's not perfect, but from about 3 feet away, you really can't tell that this is plasti-dip. So I think that I am going to go ahead and go forward with this for the rest of the wheels, and hopefully you guys like this, and I might inspire one of you guys to try the same thing. And if any of you guys were wondering how I was going to get these rubber grommets out of these holes, this is what I came up with here. Just going to just kind of push in one direction and get it to spin. That way it disconnect best I can. Like I said, it wasn't a perfect idea, just something I came with on the fly since I don't have a thin wall socket. And I should be able to just push these through to the back, or use my fingers and grab them through. And lastly guys, I'm doing the center cap separate. There's a reason I'm doing this, for the simple fact that if I ever want to get the wheels balanced or whatever, or remount it, anytime you remove the center cap and the center cap has been plasti-dip with the car, it will pull the plasti-dip away from the wheel. So I'm gonna do these separate, and it should give me the best chance at not ripping off the plasti-dip anytime I have to remove the wheel. As you guys can see here, I got the wheel pulled out in the daylight. The results are, well, I'd have to say awesome. For the amount of money that I spent on the wheels and the amount of money I spent on the plasti-dip, I'm really not into these wheels very much at all. So just to get these kind of results from them in general, I couldn't be happier. I know that I'm probably going to eventually have these wheels painted, or I might paint them myself, just depending on how much time I have and my resources at the time. I might end up just painting these hyper silver, because this is a really good look for these wheels. So yeah, they should be dry now, and the final thing to do to them is actually just to put the glossifier on it. So yeah, this stuff goes a long way. This is actually from my previous project. You really don't actually ever use too much of this stuff. It's really just to prevent the plastic from fading here. See, it's fade buster. This ensures that the plasti-dip doesn't just fade to a darker version of its or sadder version of its former self. Getting the plasti-dip off the tire section that is not around the rim is a little more tricky. I tend to just use a microfiber cloth and a little bit of elbow grease, and it tends to come off. And whatever gets stuck on there will just eventually just make its way and fall off eventually, because plasti-dip doesn't really stick too well to rubber. So as you guys can see, I got one of the wheels done, and I am really happy with the results. From this distance, it looks pretty factory, so I'm fairly certain that I'm going to be painting these wheels permanently this color. Tell me what you guys think about it. Do you think it came out good? Do you think I should go back to black? Either way, I'm gonna do the silver all the way around, just rock it this way for a little while. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. So guys, as you guys can probably tell, today is the next day. I ran out of sunlight last night, and I really wasn't able to properly get the car plasti-dip like I like them. All in all, I'm really happy with the results. I'm really happy with how this came out. Definitely some things I probably could have done a little bit better. Could have taken my time. I really haven't figured out the best way to plasti-dip wheels when they're off the car, to make sure I don't mess up the lug holes, but you know, my little fix did the trick okay. All in all, I definitely recommend this to anyone who is trying to determine whether they're going to paint their wheels a certain color. Plasti-dip is just a great alternative, because it is not permanent, but you get to have a long-term temporary solution, and to give you the desired look you're going for. I was getting really tired of the black look, and you know, I might want to go back to the black look. I don't really know at this time, and since the last set of wheels that I actually did here on my M3 has lasted over 3 years, and they still look very good. They are a little more dull, but that's just can be expected with vinyl. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the results. So if you guys like these kinds of videos and you want to see more, please don't hesitate, you know, to let me know. I do try to make videos once a week, and just let me know what you guys like to see down in the comments. So yeah guys, that's about it for today, and as always, thanks for watching the Be My Dude channel, and as always, peace out and Godspeed guys.